I have never been to New York, and I am terrified to ever go, because the last time my family was in New York was when we first came over to America, and we immediately got all our money stolen. So I fear if I ever go to New York City, I'm going to meet the ancestor of the person who stole our money, and I'm going to have to, like, fight in a duel for, like, honor or something. That doesn't stop me from making assumptions with minimum research about that beautiful city, though, that I'm going to tell you today. First assumption, I believe that New York City smells like a cheap motel. I believe it is a combination of mildew and cigarettes. And I believe this because big city, lots of trash, because duh. And even though I'm not gonna diss on the sanitation department of New York City, I just feel like there's so much trash that not all of it gets, like, picked up in, like, a timely manner. I also think there's just rugs everywhere. And I assume that it rains in New York. So that's just, like, where I think the mildew smell comes from. And also, everyone still smokes inside in New York City. There is no way that if I was paying $6,000 a week to live in my shoebox apartment, that you're going to tell me that I can't smoke. Yeah, I'm not going outside for that. You're going to have to deal with it. And I feel like that goes for the same. Like, if I'm paying, like, $50 for a meal on top of that rent, I'm smoking inside the restaurant. So, everything smells like mildew and cigarettes, and that's just, like, the base smell. It only gets worse. Yeah. You know how, like, Mexico in, like, movies are often portrayed as, like, having that, like, yellow hues? That is true for New York City. Like, I think you've crossed the border into New York, and it's just, like, everything is a hazy gray. And there's also always a man in a launch trench coat that goes below his knees, like a Bateman looking motherfucker. Times Square, anytime I see photos of it, it just looks headache inducing. There's no way that is fun to be around, especially, like, as a tourist. Like, imagine you are paying money to go to New York City, and then you go to a place that's just gonna, like, just shove ads in your face. Like, how is that enjoyable? Like, you could have done anything else. You could have gone to, like, the Statue of Liberty, the Transit Museum, the Empire State Building. Can you visit the Empire State Building? But you can visit Coney Island, which I also think sucks. No one's, like, purposely going to Coney Island. Like, you're tricked into it. Does that make sense? Yeah. I still appreciate Coney Island for, like, the baby incubators. Like, that, amazing. Love that. But everything else about Coney Island, no. Okay, New Yorkers hate New Jersey. Because New Jerseyans, people, particularly from Syracuse, says they're from New York City, and I imagine that's really annoying. That being said, I think if you work in New York City and all you do is just, like, sleep and shit in New Jersey, I think you should be called a New Yorker, because, like, you actually spend most of your time in New York City. But does that mean that if I, like, live in Staten Island and I, like, cross the bridge into Syracuse to go to to work at Walmart, does that mean I'm not a true New Yorker? Because my address is a New York accent. Address, access. Getting philosophically on the liver, Jenna. Does New Yorkers hate New Jersey because they have a Walmart? That's my theory. Okay, now I'm going to head into judging each of the boroughs. Boroughs? I imagine Manhattan is like Texas of New York City. Like, anyone, like, I feel like if I ever met someone from Manhattan, I would, like, punch them. Like, I just feel like I would just, like, even without them saying anything, I would just feel like the vibe that they think they're better than me, and I would just have to, like, defend my honor, you know? Like, Manhattan just, they think they're better than me, and I don't appreciate that. I do not appreciate that. I think Brooklyn's the coolest. They're the ones that get put on like most of those t-shirts. They're like Brooklyn, New York City. Yeah. You also can name your kid Brooklyn. Can't name your kid Manhattan. If you named your kid Manhattan, they're most definitely going to get made fun of. And I'm going to, like, punch that kid, So, like, don't name your kid Manhattan. Name your kid Brooklyn. After Brooklyn, the borough? Brooklyn. I know very little about Queens. As in, the only thing that I know is that that's where Peter Parker's from. So, I love it. You don't see a lot of t-shirts that say Queens 1997. Also, by the way, what happened in New York City in 1997? Because, like, anytime there's, like, a shirt, it always says, like, New York City, NYC, 1997. That or 98. What happened in those 2 years that, like, it's on every t-shirt? Sorry. I feel like there's a more important year in New York history. The Bronx. I don't know anything about the Bronx. The only thing that comes to mind when I hear the word Bronx is that video of Jennifer Lopez when she comes to visit her, like, old town, her old house or something, and the man who now lives there is like, I don't know who you are. I do not care. And that's amazing. Remember how I said that Queens is, like, forgotten a lot? Not as forgotten as Staten Island. If you want to know how forgotten Staten Island is, as for someone who lives outside the city or like outside New York City, I didn't know Staten Island was part of New York City until Pete Davis joined in SNL. I didn't know that was an option when it came to the city. Also, what is Westchester? What is that? I'd like to know. I think New Yorkers are actually really nice. Like, they're just really honest. Like, if you're doing something stupid, they're gonna, like, tell you that you're stupid. And I don't think that's particularly mean. It will make me cry, but that's more of, like, a me issue than, like, New York itself kind of issue. They're also all suffering from, like, deteriorating mental health from all the lead that they're breathing in. Like, there's no way those, like, little vents in the sidewalk that, like, has air that comes through because of the subway, there is no way that is not just bringing in toxins that just these people are breathing on, like, the daily. People are just moving into apartments that still are just, like, covered with, like, 6 layers of lead paint. And they're just, like, scraping at the door. Like, they're putting that, like, sticky wallpaper up. And, like, the moment they, like bring it down, it is just lead right into their face. And it's doing something to them. It's truly doing something to them. Even if you're like, oh, I live in one of, like, the new apartments or something. There's no, like, asbestos and lead. Okay, sure. But that doesn't mean that, like, when you go to work or go to a restaurant or, I don't know, go to another person's apartment, that, like, their house is not covered in lead. Like, there's no way every place in New York is properly up to date, up to health codes. I guess you could say that about any place, any, like, old place, but it's just, I feel like New York is just, like, it's somehow, like, their lead is, like, mutated. Like, they got mutated lead over there that is, like, causing problems. There is a man in New York that dresses up as a rat and carries around a giant pizza. That is due to lead poisoning. That is lead poisoning. I also think a lot of people are, like, deteriorating in their brains. It's because they're not eating. I one time looked up, like, jobs in New York City because I was 20 years old and that's what you do. And, like, the baseline of jobs I saw was, like, $25 an hour, which is, like, really good to me in my area. I'm like, $25, damn. But then I started doing the math, which I'm not going to do again. You're just going to have to trust me that I did the math. And it's just like, I figured that there's no way that you're paying for an apartment and also eating proper meals. That's just not possible. Which kind of brings me to my next thing. That might get me thrown into the Hudson. New York food is more pretty than it is good. Like, my greatest fear, that's dramatic. Okay. A concern that I have is that one day I will get to go to New York City and I'll get to eat, you know, the famous New York pizza. And then the moment I taste it, it's gonna be like, oh, it's pizza. Like, it's not gonna be anything great. It's just gonna be pizza. And if I bring this up to anyone, they're just gonna be like, no, you had to go try Tony's. And if Tony doesn't taste good, you gotta go to Cecil's. And if Cecil doesn't taste good, you gotta go to, I don't know, Carl. Carl doesn't make good pizza. There's no Carl in New York City that makes good pizza. I'm so sorry for that. But you get what I'm saying. I think the reason why New Yorkers say they have like some of the best food in the world is because they're all hungry. They will take anything and they're like, wow, this is the best thing. And it's just like, and you're just like, oh, well, actually, that's just pizza. That's just pizza. Yeah. I think that's it on my assumptions of New York City. Yeah, I don't think I, oh, wait. The Central Park. Terrifying. A freaking whole forest in the middle of a city? Terrifying. Shouldn't exist. Hate it. I hate that. That's not really an assumption. That's actually an opinion. Are all assumptions just kind of opinions? I don't know. That's a little homework for you guys. Anyway, oh, I just hit my teeth. Video over. It's amazing how I went an entire video about New York and I didn't mention 9/11. That's crazy. Crazy, my dudes.